See, if you have an above average call, you cannot do it thinking like an average person. But if what you're called to is within the context of average, then you just have to be yourself and you'll be fine. The way that this universe is designed, you're never given everything you need to complete the journey. You're given what you need to start the journey. But a lot of people, they're looking for what is needed to complete the journey. And so because those things are missing, they feel like they can't start. Or there's a lot of people that will ask for mentorship, but there are not many people that's willing to apply, put into practice immediately what is shared.
Welcome to Mentor Me podcast, where one conversation can collapse years of delay. So let me be honest. This being my very first podcast, you're going to actually see me build courage in this conversation. So you're going to see me fumble, asking perfect questions, and learn in real time. So this is the point. Mentor Me is not about perfection. It's about getting started. So in this very first conversation, I'm joined by Dr. Dwanye Thomas, pastor, leader, entrepreneur, and visionary, whose life and ministry is based on one conviction: what you think shapes who you become. So in this conversation, we unpacked why you don't wait to get ready. You get ready by starting. So if you've been waiting on a sign to get started, this might be it. Let's jump into the conversation. This is my unofficial mentor, Pastor Dwanye Thomas. And he's one of the guys that has pushed me tremendously in this direction. He actually coined the name. You wanna tell them about that?
Yeah, but even before I do that, I don't even realize, I'm not sure if you realize how much you have already released value in this moment. Because the biggest challenge that people face that stops them from stepping out is that they're waiting for the perfect moment. They're waiting to be the perfect speaker. And you said something, you didn't want to, you didn't want to wait until you become great to start. Well, you know what's the truth? You'll never become great if you don't start. And you don't have to be great to start. You understand? So just that vulnerability there alone, bro, is such an inspiration to somebody out there who's like, they have 15 ideas that will change the world, or one idea that would change the world, and they're thinking that they have to wait until they really get it all together to actually go forth. But you showing them right now that, listen, start where you are.
Thanks for saying that. Thanks for saying that. Because for me, I have this persona in my mind that songs a particular way. We are the right words,
Right.
yeah. Go down a decibel to get doing voice, and it's just like, oh, that's so suited. And then, you also want to be the guy who is profound, right? And not every time you have a conversation, it's real value and stuff like that, based on your intentions, right? But for me, there's a clash between this person in my mind and the reality of who I am today. And that's why I tell myself, okay, power the mass, right? There's this guy I have in my mind who, this is how he's supposed to show up on the pod, right? The excited guy, the radio voice, we're bringing everybody in. And the reality is, I don't even know if I'm that today, or if I'll be that tomorrow with experience. Like, what you would say to that?
I mean, there's absolutely nothing wrong with having a picture in your mind of who you would like to be. As a matter of fact, that is one of the traits of the most effective communicators in the world and people as a whole. They always have a picture in their mind as to who they can become. The difference is, and I think we all have that picture. Everybody has an idea of what's possible when it comes to who they are, their identity, their self-image, right? I think the difference between the people that create impact and the people that don't is that the people that create impact never become intimidated by the differences that exist between the person that is physically here and the person that's actually in their mind. In other words, those people are inspired to become that, and they are not afraid to actually step out now because of the fact that their present reality may be slightly different to who they envision in their mind. So, what you're doing right now is actually evidence of that, where you have, this picture in your mind of what you can be, what you can do, and you're stepping forward, even though what your reality is a little bit different. And you know what's beautiful? If you can hold that picture in your head long enough, eventually you will have that picture in your life, meaning you will become that person. So that's actually a great place to start. Being specific as to what your potential is, being specific as to what the possibilities are for you, and using that as inspiration to keep growing and developing.
So I have a lot of friends and associates that would say, bro, you are the personality for that. You should do it. Just do it. And there's that in terms of person's expectation and something that they are seeing. And then there's the person you want to be that you have in your mind, right? And then there's your purpose, but that's a different thing. How do I decipher the encouragement of others in terms of how to put this? So you saying I can do this, but in my mind, I probably think I can, but there's doubt there, and so that prevents me from actually doing it. Or I think I should get it right first. I mean, again, you said I'm exhibiting it, but to some degree, I know I start the journey, but it's just like I still not doing fully what I think I should be doing because I'm still working on my confidence, right? In terms of just getting it
Yeah,
done.
I'll tell you, like one of my mentors told me, you know, there's a whole bunch of things that we should be doing. Should be doing this, should be doing
Shoulda,
that,
coulda.
should be doing the other. And he says when you go down that road, eventually you'll just shit all over yourself.
Sorry, I catch Morello off guard.
Just
Yeah.
forget about all of that,
Yes.
bro, you're doing it. And that, listen, doing is the difference. It have a little passage that I love. I always remind myself of it. Here's what it says. It says, people that know their God, they just stay strong and do something. When a person know their God, they stand strong and they do something about it. Anybody could have an idea, anybody could have a gift, but not many people would actually take the step to actually do something. And who cares whether you're doing it right or I don't care. Once you know that you're taking all of the steps to walk in the potential that you have presently, that's all that matters. Whether it's right or there's no such thing as right or wrong in the realm of growth. There's no right, there's no wrong, there's only a result. And of course, once I get a result, I can always identify what are the lessons that I've learned from this result, and then I correct or improve or make different decisions to produce a different result. So once you take your mind off of being right or being wrong and just look for a result, then you make the growth process way more fun,
Yeah.
because your objective is different. Your objective is not to go viral. Your objective is to grow. Your objective is to push yourself to the limit of your potential. That's what you're thinking about. And that's why for me, yeah, I would never look at you from the place of right or wrong. I see you as somebody who is actually taking action, and you will not believe how you immediately differentiate yourself from millions and millions of people just because you did something. See, uh, 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 this guy from the Bahamas, who died. Oh my goodness,
Miles Monroe.
Miles Monroe. Miles Monroe says that the wealthiest place on the planet is the cemetery.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And another mentor of mine says, he says the saddest thing on the day of a funeral is not the death of the body, is the death of all the dreams, the death of all of the goals and the potential that would never come to pass because the person procrastinated.
All right. Pause, please. Pause, please. So, why are we as a community take so long to start? I'm speaking to myself here. So, okay, today's ground zero. Today's day one. Because for me, I wish I had more tools to understanding how to get started. Or maybe it was just more a mental stuff. Or probably things that you have told me before. Stuff that I'm speaking, right? My words and how I probably have a better relationship with doubt than I do with my faith. And my faith is in the doubt that I'm fostering than actually the truth of this can be done. You can grow, you can start. Talk to getting started.
Yeah. I mean, that's a very tricky thing, because starting becomes difficult because the way that this universe is designed, you're never given everything you need to complete the journey. You're given what you need to start the journey. But a lot of people, they're looking for what is needed to complete the journey. And so because those things are missing, they feel like they can't start.
Okay. Okay. So, based on my past, right? Most persons, and they're coming from a really good place. Most persons, because they love you and they probably being a little overprotective here, when they don't see the finish line, based on what you're saying, you're getting stuff to start. But probably they have never seen this before. And they be like, how you going to make money after that? You sure that you want that to be a career? You sure you want to go down that path? Dance, music, you'll be a pastor, really? And you have so many mouths to feed. And there's always a really good heart behind some of these demolishing thoughts, right? And I think for me, I have a whole slew of these sentences in my mind in terms of starting something, because now I've developed the concept of, okay, if I don't even know where this is gonna end up, why even doing this? Right? Even in your mind, you could have the end in mind in terms of the dream, but everybody else is like, I ain't see nobody doing anything positive for that. You sure you want to do that? And now there's a clash in terms of your natural desire and dream to accomplish this thing, and you see in the end, but your environment now is saying, show me the end first, show me how you get in there, and then probably I could say, all right, that might make sense. So I have had a relationship with persons where once they can't see the end, and again, might be their fault, but they might be coming from a good place, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's interesting. There are a few things that you want to pay attention to when it comes to that question. Number one, when you're getting started with something, you have to be specific as to what the end is, number one. But then you have to ask yourself, is the end of this or the outcome of this worth the journey? Because if the outcome is not worth the journey, you won't get started.
Yeah.
Once you are sure that I'm willing to exchange my life for this thing, then you're starting from a good place. You understand what I mean? If you're not willing to give your life, and give your life don't mean die, it means exchange your time. Because if you're going after something that will not be worth it at the end, then you won't be willing to do what's necessary to get there in the middle. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's number one. Number two, you talked about people giving a number of reasons as to why something may not be, it may not be worth their time, or it may not be something that they should do. My father used to always tell me, back in the day, or some of the old folks as well used to say this, no matter how thin you slice it, there's always going to be two sides. In other words, it's called the law of polarity. Wherever there's an up, there has to be a down. Wherever there's a left, there has to be a right. Wherever there's an east, there's going to be a west, which means wherever there's a reason why I cannot do something, there has to also be a reason why I can and must do it. The challenge is we take the time to list the reasons why we can't, but we don't ever think about listing the reasons why we can actually accomplish something. So once I select an outcome that's worth my time, then I have to now create a list of reasons, not just why I can, but why I must. See, as human beings, we are moved by two simple things, two emotions: pain, pleasure. We don't do anything unless it's taking us away from pain or towards pleasure.
Wow.
And so that means if I can connect an outcome to enough pleasure or enough pain, I can get myself to do anything.
So in me doing this, I'm trying to wrap my mind around which side am I on.
In terms of pain or pleasure?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, to be quite honest, you want to be on the side that is most convenient to getting you to do what you must do. So that means in some cases it might be a pain perspective, but in other cases it might be a pleasure perspective. For example, let's say, for example, you not doing this may mean you never getting to the place of purpose that God has for your life. If you actually sit down and think about, okay, this podcast is directly connected to me getting to purpose. If I don't do this, I may not accomplish my purpose ever. I may die without ever having lived. You think anything will stop you from doing this podcast while thinking that thought? Absolutely not.
Sorry,
You understand what I'm saying?
that is so.
So
Sorry,
it's
that was
about
real heavy.
okay.
Wow.
So the people that are most developed in their awareness learn how to create conditions in their mind that gets them to do what they need to do.
So pause right there.
Sure.
Again. Okay. So I would consider myself the average person who have not developed that concept or the intentionality or the level of awareness to sit with the thought and realize that if I don't do this, this is connected to my purpose. How do you even start to build a mindset like that?
The first thing that you want to pay attention to is you have to decide whether or not you want to be an average person. Which nothing is wrong with that. but the average person would do what average people do.
So this is where my words just
Well, I mean, it may not. You see, nothing is wrong with being average. It's just deciding on whether if that's what is going to be required for what you've been called to do. See, if you have an above average call, you cannot do it thinking like an average person. But if what you're called to is within the context of average, then you just have to be yourself and you'll be fine. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
all about the call on your life.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So I guess I can't be
You can't be.
average because okay. So I'm here because I have strong impression upon my heart to shed light on conversations like these, right? And to be, even if I have to sacrifice me song in a particular way, if okay, I'm gonna split it lame on terms if I come on here song and strip it in my mind, right? To even just to get the conversation out there, to hear the wisdom and the mentorship in spaces that the average person might not have access to, right? This is really important to me because I believe that I'm very blessed to have relationships like this, right? And I think persons like yourself and others have a lot of value to give and to share. And this is just one out of the many platforms that you traverse in. But sometimes it's put in a particular context. Again, you're a pastor, so you have your sermons, you have
Right.
your Bible study.
Yeah.
And I find it's such a great privilege to be able to sit down and ask a direct question, because the average person in the pew mightn't be like,
Right.
hey pastor, tell me about the specific thing. How do I get started on my business or my film career, or so I don't think, and this is me just in real time processing what you said. I don't think what is in my heart and trying to accomplish it is the average thought in a person's mind to say, hey, how can I get this conversation out there to the masses?
Yeah.
So with that being said, I would also say I am learning and discovering my assignment, right? Because of me having these conversations with you and you bringing that perspective of, okay, what would life be if I really don't do this? And is this really attached to my purpose? Because I might be cheating myself or robbing my future from something really great if I didn't even start, right? And it's a mindset that I want to get into. Off air, I mean, we were talking about words, and I struggle a lot with my words in terms of professing the correct thing, right? So one, you just spoke about the mindset, self-awareness, right? And before we even go to speech, I want to get into self-awareness too, because again, I might be having this conversation and somebody looking at us like, I don't even know if he fully gets it or what do you see. And I was like,
Right.
yo, like they might hear you and just like get off the bat. And I'm here like I still processing and again, nothing wrong with that. That's why we're here. But how big and important self-awareness is to even get started and walking in the right direction.
Yeah. I mean, I am a millennial.
Big
But
up you, me
I,
too.
yeah, and yeah, I understand how our generations and generations after ours, there's a great emphasis on self-awareness, self-improvement. That's
Yes.
that's what
Yeah.
our generation is all about.
Yeah.
But I saw where the Spirit was calling me to something before that. Before self-awareness, I think the beginning and the starting point of identifying our assignment is a God awareness. We start there. Because whatever you focus on will expand in your life. And if I'm focused on myself, then myself will expand, and that's okay. But if I can focus on God, then God will begin to expand in my life, and that's even better.
Yeah.
Because the clarity from which I will see myself through the lens of the living God is way different than looking through the lens of my own abilities, my own giftings, my own failures and shortcomings. And so I think you look through the scripture, you look at Jesus, his ministry was launched or started after a period of getting into a God awareness.
Wow.
40 days of fasting.
Yeah.
And I would say to anybody, if you're getting ready to start anything of substance, you want to start by building your awareness of God. Why? Awareness is what informs vision. I'll give you a quick story. There's this story of this guy. Is a old scriptural story, and a prophet, and he and his servant, they in a tent. They went to sleep the night and woke up the next morning. When they came outside, the servant actually got up and came outside, and around the entire tent is this huge army. And the army's objective is to kill the prophet and his servant. Of course, the servant, normal, average, person, he responded to the scenario based on his level of awareness. He said, Prophet, it was nice serving with you. We had a good run.
Yeah.
But I feel like,
that's
it, right?
Yeah.
Let me show you the difference between having self-awareness and having a God awareness. He was aware of himself and his strength and his capacity. And so his conclusion was, because he was surrounded by an army that was bigger than he was, his time was come to an end. The prophet came outside, looked at the same scenario. None of the elements changed, except for the fact you were dealing with someone who was not only self-aware, but someone who was now God-aware. And the prophet said, he prayed a prayer. He said, Lord, open my servant's eyes. And the story goes that the servant started to see that surrounding what was surrounding him was an even greater army that he could not see when he was only self-aware. Because why? Awareness impacts vision. You can see what other people cannot. Yeah?
Yeah.
And so that's why I say first step, being self-aware is absolutely important. You must be self-aware, right? It's critical for interpersonal skills and interaction. But even greater than a self-awareness is a God awareness.
So I wish I had the time to process and continue the conversation, because that is one, the perspective that is amazing for me, just seeing the parallel between the two, and the way how you broke down. Again, I think I've delved the majority of life just being self-aware, but God awareness. That's a new concept for me. And that's a real time. This is like, wow, Jerome. Like, this is where you need to focus. This is really where you need to focus.
That's why the Bible says, here's what he said. He says, this is now Jesus speaking, right? He says, seek first the kingdom. Now, what would you find, or who will you find in the kingdom? God. So what was Jesus saying? He says, seek an awareness of God
Yeah. Yeah.
before you seek an awareness of what you can see, which is self. Seek an awareness of
Yeah.
what you cannot see, and then your awareness of what you can see will be added.
So I this might be a tricky thing to say. You read the scriptures, you go to church, and sometimes concepts and awareness and revelations like these, it doesn't come across this way. So I might read that same scripture, right? Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and your mind going somewhere else than to have this deep revelation of, okay, God is saying, be aware of what I'm doing. What is my plan? What is the objective of the kingdom before you could even start? Because you want to fit yourself into his plan, into his objective. But sometimes, again, we starting with, this is my situation, Lord. And then we now want to invite him into it. And again, this, we read this. This is a popular portion of scripture. But I've probably I need more awareness. that's just what it comes down to in terms of bringing God into it.
Let me chuck something in there for you real quick, because again, we was talking about this off air, where one of the really amazing books that one of my mentors shares with me was is Hung by the Tongue. I told you about that, right?
Yeah.
And you have to become aware that every time words leave your lips, it doesn't disappear. Your words don't disappear.
Good. I'm glad that we're here, because I wanted to get into words. Yes.
Right?
Right.
As a matter of fact, you're a musician, just like I am also musically inclined. Sound cannot be destroyed.
No. That's crazy.
It just keeps going.
Yeah. Yeah.
And here's the crazy thing about it. This is just coming to my mind right now. If sound cannot be destroyed and it just keeps going, and the universe is built in a circular way, right? The universe is circular, like the planets orbit, yeah? The sun, right? The universe is circular. If sound cannot be destroyed, it just keeps going, well, that means it will go in a circular and come back
yeah.
to its original point, which means whatever I am saying, I must be willing to receive in some sort of a different form in the future.
Okay.
To be quite honest, that different form is what we would call a physical circumstance.
Right.
Which is why we hear death and life is in the power of the tongue. So when I speak something, it leaves in the invisible form of words, but then it returns in the visible form of the world I live in.
Okay, so give me a real down-to-earth practical example of something we would say very casually, and we're not paying it no mind, but it's coming back and manifesting physically down the
Yeah,
road.
I mean, bro, like this happened. Even me, like after you find out this to be true, you don't always immediately just change, right? It's a process of work that is very, very challenging.
Yes.
And challenging is not a bad thing, because of course the size of the benefit has to correspond with the size of the barrier that comes before that benefit. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so, like, people talk about this all the time. They talk about their health. How you feeling, boy? I'm feeling real terrible. And the truth is, nothing is wrong with it from the perspective of describing the reality of their situation. But the problem comes in when the description becomes repetitive. So in other words, it's not to say, well, you say something now and that means that's going to happen in your life.
Right.
But the repetition of, you wouldn't believe how repetitiously we speak. So now you could say that you're not feeling good right now, But if you find yourself are being asked how you're doing 10 times for the day, you're not paying attention that you're saying you ain't feeling good 10 times.
Hey, that's true, boy.
And
But
then
that's
the
true.
accumulation of that over 10 days. And then the accumulation of that over 10 months, over 10 years, you have to really become aware of how, and that's the crazy thing about this, is that words, words function like a seed. And a seed, when you plant it, you don't pick the fruit the next day. So why people have a challenge with this concept is that they say things today and they don't see that tomorrow. I remember reading a book, and it talked about the fact that how people get so accustomed saying, I'm tired. And you know what? First couple months, maybe they was just tired in that moment.
Yeah.
But then after a year of just repetitively saying, I always tired, always feeling tired, boy. That person did not remember how often they said it last year to when now this year they're really always feeling tired.
Yeah, but so for somebody who's saying that, they're not lying. If I'm tired today and then I'm tired tomorrow, and throughout the day, I encounter 7 persons. Hey, how you going, boy?
Yeah.
Boy, I'm tired, boy.
Yeah.
And then you see your cousins. Hey, boy, you see? I'm tired, boy. Like, so there's the 2 spectrums where we hyper spiritual. You're blessed and highly favored. You're lying. I could see you're tired, right? Should I say, hey,
Right, I'm feeling tired.
I'm feeling tired.
Yeah.
Or when does it reach a place where, all right, you're lying, right? Because there's something happening. And again, I am trying to pull what you're saying.
Yeah, no, to get the
But there's these 3 categories that I experience frequently, where it's either one, we use the spiritual jargons, but it's not coming from a true place within your heart. You're saying that because you know that I should say this, right? Oh, I don't want nobody probe. So it's 1 or 3, 2, right? And then you're at this place where I should profess this because it's a thing to profess.
That's a beautiful question, and this is how you deal with this. Number 1, you have to ask yourself whether or not what you're saying is what you want or just how you feel. First thing. So I may be feeling tired, which means that I need to rest. Now, what do you really want? Do you want to continue feeling tired, or do you want to become rested? In that case, all the person really wants is to rest.
Yeah.
So, how are you doing? I'm doing good, but I do need some rest.
Thanks.
As opposed to, I feel tired. See, what you're doing is that you're giving your spirit an instruction. You're giving your mind an instruction. And when you keep instructing your mind to feel tired, the body follows the mind. And the mind follows the mouth.
Wow.
So eventually your body has no other choice but to submit itself to what you've said. Now, when it comes to the whole idea of, people just saying jargons, I don't believe in saying jargons, because the truth is, if the only time that you say something empowering is when somebody asks you, it probably is not going to manifest, because the truth is you're actually saying the opposite more often.
Okay.
In other words, somebody come to you and say, how you doing? And you ain't doing good. Then you're like, by doing blessed and highly favored.
Yeah.
But then when that person leave, you don't continue to say that to yourself, then you are actually lying.
God, yeah. Thank you.
The idea is you want to get to the place where, forget when people ask you, what do you say in the dark? What do you say when you are all alone? When last have you said to yourself that you're blessed and highly favored? You catch what I'm saying? I'm not saying that to you directly, but I'm just saying in general. Most times when people don't believe this, they don't do it as consistently. Here's what the instruction is. Joshua God speaking to him. He has to fill the shoes of Moses. Moses does some big shoes.
Yeah.
Here's what God says to him. Here's what I'm going to be with you as I was with Moses, but here's what I want you to do. He says, this book of the law, which is the Bible, right? The words. That's what the Bible is. You know what the Bible is? A collection of words.
Yes.
He said, keep these words in your mouth whole day, whole night. When you wake up, when you fall asleep, every minute of the day, I want you to continually think and speak these words. What are some of the words that he would be expecting him to say? Well, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Not when people ask you. Because the truth is, if you're saying it enough times when you're alone, it will be felt before you even say anything.
So I'm feeling very strong in my spirit right now because there are persons gonna hear this and they are sick. They are tired, right? Mm-hmm. There's somebody who has been speaking to themselves a lot of doubt because God has been talking to them and they have been talking themselves down and not having the appropriate things or even knowing how to navigate their words to bring forth what they need, right? So for the persons who tired, weary, struggling mentally, what are some of the things that they could start switching in terms of their words and approaching their own lives in terms of how to talk to themselves? Because I find that so important. There's always a difference between interaction and your own personal conversation with yourself. You know, so what would you say to that person that needs to navigate this mental struggle of their own internal conversation?
I will do exactly what I would recommend that person do even in this moment. It's not about what I have to say, it's about what God has already said. And to the person who is actually in a space where they're facing a health challenge, which I want you to pay attention to that. They ain't sick, they have a health challenge. It's different, bro. You get what I'm saying?
No,
Because
so even titling it thing needs to change.
It's so important. Because if you are sick, then you are right. But here's what he has said. By his stripes, I am healed. Now, has the diagnosis caught up with what God's declaration is? Who knows? Maybe it hasn't. But what he said is this: the person who has been called sick has the authority to now speak healing. I am healed. As a matter of fact, one of my favorite scriptures says, let the weak say. It is not that the person is not weak. He says, but even though you're weak, the thing that is important is what you say. So it's not a denial of the reality, but it's an awareness that reality is also subject to revelation. So in reality, I am weak, but the revelation has informed me that I should say I am strong.
Yeah.
And with repetition, now, this is not the short game. Remember, words are seeds, right?
Yes.
And you don't pick the fruit when you plant the seed.
Yes.
Every time I'm speaking, it is symbolic of me planting a seed where? In the soil of my own spirit.
Yes.
So I may say that I feel strong, I feel healthy. And you know what? The feelings may not change in that moment. But if I am now catching the revelation, I can't pick when I plant.
Yeah. You didn't even water to continue.
You catch what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So now I give myself, I make up in my mind that this is a journey. It's a marathon. And that's where I think people get confused. Sometimes we teach when you speak it, then you should see it immediately.
Yeah.
Well, when you speak it, the only place you have to focus seeing it is in your vision, in your mind, in your spirit, and then be willing to go through whatever time it takes. Who knows the time? Nobody knows.
Correct. And the race is not for the swift.
Is the endurance.
Yeah. Speak something over this episode for me and the audience. We're more than likely, this is a starter. This is a conversation today. In terms of getting starting, in terms of God awareness, in terms of speaking, the power of speaking.
Yeah, I feel strongly that this the sound and the words that has been spoken in this moment, if repetitiously listened by any genuine child of God, will produce dividends for years to come. One of my favorite scriptures I shared with you earlier, it says, if you will decree a thing, it shall be established unto you. The most important word in that sentence is if, because God can't make you decree. He can't make you speak. He can't make you let the weak say it. The onus is on me to actually say it. Yeah, because you see, he's saying, I've already said it, but it only comes to pass when you say it. And I believe that people, as they interact with this, a strong desire to design what is decreed, what is declared, what is said over myself will begin to rise up. A strong desire and a strong belief that when I speak, things are coming to pass. Because a lot of people don't believe this to be true. And what's beautiful about that, it is still true even though you don't believe. It's a law. It's like gravity.
Yeah.
Somebody can say, I don't believe in gravity.
Yeah.
But that doesn't change that you are being impacted by gravity in the moment that you're not believing it.
Correct.
And so that's what I feel in this moment is actually happening to the listeners, that that would listen. My mentor, he said to me, he said, if you want to grow, he says you have to develop a love for words. And so the word listen is a word that has been used so much, and that word listen is so powerful, which is very different from hearing. See? You hear with your ears, but you listen with your emotions. And your emotions really impact the way that you behave. And so when they listen, that word listen, L-I-S-T-E-N, it's two words. It's list and E-N. That word E-N means become. So essentially, when I listen to something, my mind builds a list and prioritize these things as the things I am going to become. And that's what I believe is happening. There's a transformation that will happen in the lives of the people that will repetitiously, because it's not about hearing, or it's not about the fact that you heard it, should I say. It's about hearing it over and over and over again that actually creates the environment that is conducive to change and growth. So that's what I would speak into this moment.
Thank you. That is life-changing. Listen, guys.
No pun intended.
Yeah. To the listeners.
To the listeners.
We getting started. For those who are out there, now you have something to start. You've heard it here in this conversation, and it's so timely, so fitting that in this season we have this opportunity to have this conversation Like I needed to hear this today in real time. And I hope you feel the same way. Don't forget it. Listen, let's prioritize the things that you want to become. Get God awareness. Self awareness is good, God awareness is better, right? And there was one more earlier um, that's still at the beginning that is slipping me.
Well, I would go back to the beginning of the recording and get that third one because I
Yes,
can't remember.
go back to the beginning. But this is meant to me, and this is what we are here about. You're gonna see my transformation, real life, real time, having these conversations. The key thing is either we're gonna learn through mistakes or we're gonna learn through mentorship. So this is meant to me podcast with Jerome Birch. Thank you to Pastor Dwanye
Yes,
Thomas.
sir. Yes,
Right?
sir.
Let you guys know where they could find you.
Um, Social media, Destiny with Dwayne.
Yes.
And I just want you to recognize what you just did. You said, y'all will see the transformation in me. What you didn't recognize is that you right there implemented what you just learned. And that's the difference
Wow.
between hearers of the word and doers. That's what a mentor is looking for. There's a lot of people that will ask for mentorship, but there are not many people that's willing to apply, put into practice immediately what is shared. And so I just want to, just to send some good vibes in your direction, because I believe that if you stay in that vein, some of the people that I will introduce to you, some of the people that God will bring into your life will produce incredible transformation in your life over the next 12 months. So, yeah, man, let's go.